Okay, welcome back everyone to week 3 of Inside the Box podcast. Once again, I am OS1 Johnson, and today we have some lovely guests with us, some great people in the recruiting community. I would like to introduce them. First up, we have NC1 Jamie Britt, and next to her, we have her husband, Senior Chief Keith Britt.
Hey,
so
everybody.
before we start, could you guys give us a little bit of introduction about yourselves and what do you do and how long you've been in, all the good stuff?
Yeah, I'll start. I'm NC1 Jamie Britt, and thank you so much for having us on your show. We're so happy to be here. And I have been in the Navy for 16 years. Now, some of that was active duty time. In my early years in 2005, I joined as an air traffic controller and was stationed at NAS Corpus Christi. And I got out after my first tour and joined the Navy Reserves. And then recently came back as a FTS or a full-time support recruiter. And now I'm NC1. So it's been quite a long journey. And I think I've still got a long ways to go, but it's been great.
Awesome. Thank you for that, NC1. Okay, Senior Chief.
Yeah. So I'm Senior Chief Heath Britt, been in Navy almost 26 years. I'm retiring October 31st. I'm not a recruiter like my wife, Jamie, but I am. I've been on 5 ships. I've been on 3 air stations, and now I'm currently at a Naval Special Warfare Command here in South Mississippi.
Okay, awesome. Well, thank you guys for the introductions. It's lovely. So today, guys, we're going to hit on a few topics, nothing too long. First up, we're going to talk about the reserve program, which is also known as the NET program. So NC1, you did mention that you came in as a reservist. Am I correct?
No, I came in active duty. I did my one tour and then went into the reserves.
Okay. How was the transition from active duty to reserves?
It was like night and day. So a lot of people get held up because our acronyms are different in the reserves, and the energy is different because you got to think 1 week in a month, 2 weeks a year, and then the other time you're living your civilian life. So you got to almost put on a different hat. And coming from active duty to reserves was a big transition because I was like, what is going on? Because active duty is a little fast paced. Every day you're doing the Navy thing. Now switch to reserves. I have to remember what I did last month,
right?
and continue. So it was almost like you had to get back into the feel of being in the Navy every single time you put back on the uniform.
Yeah, that's true. So you say you do 1 week in a month, right? And 2 weeks out of the year. How is it? Is it Saturday and Sunday? And can you choose the week that you want to, or the weekend that you want to drill?
Yeah, typically they do have a set weekend, whether it's the third weekend or the second weekend of the month is their set weekend. But because we are civilian most of the time, and a lot of people have careers, they offer flex drilling. So let's say that for whatever reason, my job is going to have me work that third weekend of the month. I can go in and make up my days before that third weekend hits or after, anytime during the month or the year. And my uncle, he was actually a optometrist in the Navy, captain, and he would do all of his days in the summer because he actually owned an optometry business. So they're very flexible because they understand you're trying to balance a career in the Navy.
Right. And your annual trainings, do you get to choose where you want to go and do those, or are you still at home when you do your annual trainings?
No, I was an air traffic controller, but I wasn't stationed with an air traffic control squadron because we only have 2. We have one in Virginia and one in San Diego, California. So I was cross-assigned because I was in Texas. And so whenever it came time for my annual training, I would have to support whatever mission they were supporting. Like I was cross-assigned to California, whatever mission they were supporting. Or if I missed those mission days, I could hop on someone else's annual training. So I call the reserves a hidden gem. I've been to London for 2 weeks, Bahrain for 2 weeks. I've explored Paris coming in and out. I've a lot of people go to Hawaii for their 2 weeks. And being a young person who didn't have the money to travel but had the want, the desire to travel, it's so great. The Navy pays for that whole 2 weeks. They paid for our stay, food, gas, rental car, and you get to do your job, your training, and then you go explore whatever country you're in. And it was so awesome.
Yeah, that sounds awesome. I love traveling too. And I didn't know you get to go those kind of places.
Oh,
Paris.
yes.
Wow.
Yes. And
That's
I've worked several, and you don't necessarily have to work in your rate. And a lot of people get hung up on that as well, because they say, well, I want to be this specific rate in the reserves.
right.
You don't have to work in that rate. I've done a Markham conference at NATO where all of the admirals of the world, all of the navies of the world came for a conference. So I've saw the Spanish Navy, the Irish Navy, Algeria's Navy, and all of their admirals were in one spot. And I was just stuffing folders and handing them their stuff, which has nothing to do with air traffic control, but it was still a great experience.
Great. That sounds really awesome. So do you think that being a reservist is beneficial in the, with your career after you left active duty?
I thoroughly enjoyed my reserve time, and I thoroughly enjoyed my I used my GI Bill and got my master's degree and got a career as a GS employee at the Chief of Naval Air Training as a program analyst. So I had the best of all of the worlds, I think. I got my academics, I got my civilian life, and I had my still wearing the uniform and serving my country life.
Right. Well, I think you did all the right things in C1, most definitely. Now, Senior Chief, you were always active? Is that correct?
Yeah, I was always active, and I didn't accomplish as much as my better half when it came to my time. My GI Bills.
You did.
I did professionally, but personally, I did. I don't mean I can't use. I still got my GI Bill. If I wanted to use it, I give it to my son. Either or, have that option. But I tell you what, on that active side, I loved it because you were always going to different places. And when you were going someplace, and sometimes it got repetitive, but I always liked where I was going, like San Diego, or if I was going to, when I was in Japan, would go to Thailand or Okinawa or Yokosuka, because I was in Sasebo. I saw so many. I've been around the world. I've literally been around the world with all my duty stations combined. And I tell you what, it makes you appreciate the good US of A, but it's still fun to visit all these different countries that I've been privileged to visit.
Yeah. Yes, I agree with that too. Now, were you able to ever go with her when she went on her annual trainings?
No, because because we were dating when she went to her last AT, her annual training.
And that was in
London.
Bahrain?
No, Bahrain and London. You went to London first. We were dating. We were married in Bahrain, but no, I didn't go. We still have kids. I had to go to school and do that. So those 2 weeks was just her. And she did deploy once with the.
I did. I deployed to Djibouti, Africa for a year with the reserves. And we did get to link up during that time at a 96. I got 96 hours off. So meaning 4 days. And we went to Dublin.
We met in Dublin,
Ireland, and had a great weekend. So even though you're deployed or whatever, you can still break away and meet for a weekend or
have
whatever.
Some downtime. Yeah.
Now, when I was in London, a couple of guys had their wives fly up and they went to Paris for the weekend. So.
Awesome. Well, that's what's up. So just to wrap the reserve program up, do you have any advice or tips to anyone who is looking to join the reserve program in the Navy?
Yeah, I would definitely tell you to not turn your nose up at the reserves. A lot of people say, no, I want active duty, or no, I just rather stay at home. And, when I talk about the 2 weeks that you might have to go away, there are opportunities for you to stay inside the United States or inside your state or area and work your 2 weeks as well, depending on what's going on with your family. And it, like I mentioned before, it's so flexible for your lifestyle. And I always did my 2 weeks right before Christmas time so that I would have that extra money to spend, during the holidays. So you can kind of arrange your life to fit what fits into your life if you're thinking about going reserves. And even if you do have a career or you're going to school or whatever it may be, the reserves does not hinder, it only adds to that experience.
Awesome. Well, thank you. I agree with that too. So if you would like to go to reserves, definitely do your research, and it could be beneficial for you and what you have currently going on. So thank you, Nancy. One, thank you, Zane, for that topic right there. Now, next up, so you guys mentioned that you were married. I heard some kids in there. And a lot of people who wants to join the Navy, they do have spouses and they do have children as well too. So could you give us a little bit of background about how you were able to join the Navy with children?
Yeah, so my oldest son was 18 months old when I joined. I was married and I joined active duty. And I remember laying in boot camp, laying in my rack, thinking I made a huge mistake. I was missing my baby. And I was like, what did I just do? But prior to that, prior to me joining the Navy and talking to a recruiter, my son had gotten sick and I didn't have health care for him. And, a lot of people say, oh, I could never leave my child. That's so scary. No, the scariest thing in the world is watching your baby be sick and you don't have health care for that child or being able to take care of him. That's way more scary than having to leave him to go to boot camp and better his life. So it was so tough to join with my son, but I just had to keep thinking like, okay, this is for him. This is a sacrifice that I'm making right now. And now he's 17. He's getting ready to go to college. He's graduating this year. And he's resilient and he's strong and he's had the best health care. And if I could go back and do it all over again, even though it was so hard, I totally would.
Yeah. A lot of people do, struggle with that decision, especially having younger children as well too. A lot of people don't want to leave their children. I don't have children myself, but I can understand the fear of.
There's no sugarcoat. It's hard.
Yeah.
But like I said, it's a lot harder and a lot scarier to watch that baby be sick and not being able to take care of them.
Right. And you did mention that you were married as well too when you joined.
It was a previous marriage so that was one of the things, because there's single parents aren't allowed or don't have the same opportunities as those that are married. So I was married and was able to go active duty at that time, and then later on became a single mom in the Navy. So I lived that life as well.
Now, was it hard joining, like the paperwork process and just the process in general? Was it harder, do you think, that because you didn't have a spouse and a child?
I don't think so, because I'm pretty sure my recruiter took care of all of that. So I just have to get those documents over to him. And I don't think there was anything that I needed to do extra on my part other than just getting their documents to him so that they could record it properly.
Okay, awesome. Well, now that you two are married, how do you, both perspectives, being in the Navy, married, is it easy? Is it hard? Can you speak on that for a little bit?
You go.
Well, anytime you're married, one, there's a give and take, right? Yeah. So it's just that when we got married, I was a senior chief. When we met, I was a chief, made senior chief. And I was kind of like, I've already accomplished more than I probably ever thought I would in the Navy. I never thought I'd make past E5, honestly. But so it was her turn. So when she got the recruiting job, I already know, because I've been in the Navy over 20 years. I know it's a it's a hell of a job. It's very
Yeah.
busy, stressful. You get you can be doing your best and still not doing enough. So I I did my part to make sure I try to take care of most things as I can and let her concentrate on her stuff. She's hustling for chief. She's trying to make that pay grade. She's trying to be the best she can be, obviously, because I was in that shoe. I was in those shoes before. I was wanting to be the best I could be. And so I did my best. I mean, when I'm perfect, I'm not perfect. So, but I did the best I could to try to take some of the load off of her because I thought it was the right thing to do.
He got to be both. He got to leave on deployment and he got to stay while I went on deployment. So he got to live both lives, which is equally hard.
Yeah, I'd rather be the one leaving than the one staying.
Oh, for sure. The one staying has the hardest part. They got to keep the kids. I'm sure the dishwasher breaks or whatever, but
Right.
everything goes wrong when your spouse is on deployment. So he got to live both lives, and I think it's easier to be the one that's deployed.
Right. Okay. Well, thank you. Well, to wrap that up, pretty much it's not impossible to join the Navy if you are married or if you have children. It's just making that decision and knowing what you're doing it for. So,
Right.
and it's for yourself. It's also for your family as well, too. But it is not impossible. We have two people right here who has done it and done it successfully and flawlessly. And you guys are great. Done great things for sure.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, no problem. All right. Well, to wrap up our segment, as many of you all know, tomorrow is the 20th anniversary of September 11th. And we just want to, show our respects and show remembrance to those people who have lost their lives on that day. So for me, I will start off. I was little. I'm 26 right now. So I don't remember too much from on that day because I was so little, but I knew that you had to leave school and we're at home watching the news with my sister and my mom, and it was a lot of coverage on it. But I knew that something terrible had happened that day, and it most definitely has shaped all of our lives. From that day on, it has changed everything on how we practice traveling and just practicing in the Navy and the military itself. So that's what I, remember on that day. Do you guys have any, thing that you remember or on that day?
Well, I'll go next because Heath was actually in the Navy before some of us were born to this world. He was in the Navy, but I was in college. I went to college first. I went to college first, and before I joined, and I was in archery class, and we were practicing shooting our arrows. And I remember my instructor saying, I heard before I got to class that a plane hit the World Trade Center, and we were all kind of like, well, that's weird. And then I went to my next class, which was down on the campus, and they had a TV, and we were able to see the second plane hit. And looking around, everybody was like puzzled, like, what is going on? What is happening here? Is this real? And then after that, we felt panicked. I remember not really knowing what to do. I called my parents. What do I do? Because, people were going out and getting gas or just running around saying, this is it, and nobody really knew what to do. But it started to plant that seed in my head that I was meant for something more. And so I did go ahead and finish my college degree, my bachelor's degree. And shortly after that was when I joined the Navy, 1 year after that. And I just had that burning desire inside of me, like, hey, there's something more out there, something bigger, and you need to be a part of it. And it never went away from that point on. So I ended up joining just 4 short years later.
Yeah. So for me, I was, like I said, I was in the Navy. I was at E5. I just started getting paid for E5. We get frocked for a while in the Navy. So I was on my way to Bremerton, Washington. See, I was stationed on the Lincoln out of Everett, but when he got put in the yards, we went to Bremerton because Everett couldn't support a yard for a carrier. So I was on my way and we got to the front gate of Bremerton. They said only military can get off right here at the front gate because the World Trade Center just got bombed or got bombed. I think the word they used was bomb, but but I remember like, this must be a drill. Maybe it's a base drill, but why they use the World Trade Center as a place, as the drill?
Yeah.
That's weird. Because I was in Washington and they were in New York. So why they use it so far away, thinking as I'm walking to the boat. And I get on the boat, and right when I go on the boat, they were showing footage of the second one hit the World Trade Center. And I just remember being really upset, really mad about it. And I was ready to go. I was like, okay, well, I guess we're doing it. But the Lincoln was in the yards, and we were so, we were not capable, we weren't seaworthy anymore because we were been in the yards for a month or two out of the 6 months. So I didn't go anywhere. We didn't go anywhere, but a lot of ships got turned around on their way back home to head back to the Persian Gulf or wherever. So I know it affected a lot. It didn't affect me per se, personally, but it affected a lot of sailors that I knew that were on their way home. They were in their last little stint of a 6-month deployment. And I know it did affect people later because there's no more 6-month Westpacs. 6 months is a thing in the past. Now it's 10, 11, maybe a year, 12 months. And so it did affect a lot of people later on. It's still affecting people. That it's the war that never really ended. And it affected a lot of people. Not a lot of people get affected at the time, but this affected people, generations of sailors to come. You know what I'm saying?
A ripple
Effect. But I remember I was ready to go on another ship. That's going out. I was ready. Let's do it. And they was like, no, the command wasn't supporting me leaving. So I didn't affect me that much at the time. And by the time the Lincoln went on deployment again after that, I'd already transferred to shore duty. So
okay. All right. Well,
I remember it very well.
Yeah, most definitely cannot forget that day. No matter if you try, you would not forget that day.
Exactly.
So thank you for that. Like I said, we do want to pay our respects. For tomorrow is September 11th. And with that being said, I would like to just do a moment of silence for everyone who have lost their lives on that day. Okay. Thank you. Thank you all. So I appreciate you both being here on today's podcast. It was a short notice, but you guys came through, so I appreciate that. And that's what Navy family is for. And actually, we just met, guys. So
we did.
But we literally just met, and that's what it's all about. You meet people, you can make these connections, and you network. And hey, Navy family, we're gonna stick together for sure.
Right. Definitely.
But thank you once again. I appreciate you guys for being on our podcast, Inside the Box. And any last words you guys want to say?
I do. I'm not a Navy recruiter, but to anybody that hears this that's on the fence, it's been the best decision of my life. I've been treated fair for almost 26 years. I got advanced because I worked hard. So I was paid to work hard, and I got taken care of because I worked hard. So if you're willing to work hard, the Navy's for you.
Yeah, definitely. I agree. Anything else for you, NC1?
No, I just thank you so much. We appreciate inviting us on your Inside the Box podcast, and looking forward to having y'all on our podcast, the E14 podcast.
Definitely.
Yeah. Yes, I can't wait. Well, until next time, guys. Peace.